comfort.
It is also a little bit of a comfort pick for them too, right? They pull out the Mars a few times, one of their more favored heroes. But RNG-wise, the last hero that they're going to be picking up is the Spectre. Aries, do you think it's a little too greedy, or do you think it's the perfect pick to top off their draft?
I think if you can get away with the Spectre, then the supports on LBZS are going to have a bit of a difficult time. Tusk might be okay actually with Snowball, but more importantly, the Lina and the Grimstroke, it gives you a way to be able to catch the Lina on the backline. And we've seen time and time again, this is a hero that can just shock out damage at such a rapid succession with this kind of right-click build. So bit curious on the lane because it is a Brewmaster 5. I definitely think LBZS have a massive advantage with their laning stage.
All right, and knowing that laning phase, it might be going in favor of LBZS, but late game potentially going in favor of RNG. Which draft are you going to lean towards, Aries?
I'm actually going to go Radiant. I feel like their laning stage might be enough to take over this game, and RNG are pretty cooldown reliant. I think D-Stones has to make a lot of plays early on, and we'll see if GoDz can get that space.
GoDz, same question.
I think RNG have the answers. I think Invoker is a good hero to stall things out, and with it, I think the Spectre pick was really good for them. I'm a little concerned about the laning stage with this support brew, but I'm at least for game one, where I feel like coming in RNG are at least fairly strong favorites. I'm going to side with them.
Look, I'm going to pick RNG too for absolutely no reason. Definitely not because they're in my compendium at all. But guys, take it away for game number 1 of our second series today.
Thank you, Nat. I mean, Parker, this is going to be an exciting matchup, honestly, coming into it. You know, LBZS against RNG. On paper, a lot of people might be a little bit more familiar with the lineup on Dire, but I feel like Radiant are a team that could, you know, make some issues against some of these other Chinese teams in the qualifiers. How do you feel overall, though? You know, I know you were siding on RNG. Is there a bit of a window that we could see Radiant have you know, kind of a strong suit in this game one?
Yeah, oh, for sure this early to mid game can get pretty scary. The support brew you kind of touched upon, it doesn't offer a lot in the laning stage. It's definitely a bit of a liability. And then on the LBZS side, you've got very strong laners. Heroes like Tusk, Tag Team, the Grimstroke, and the combos you can get from that. It does feel like we could see this Radiant draft really get off to a good start and snowball from there. And then you just play this 4v5 Dota while your Wraith King farms up a couple of items, get Roche, similar to what we saw last game from Wraith King, and you just snowball out of control.
Yeah, I definitely think, I feel like it all comes down to this laning stage. Like you have the capabilities to really shine, and then you have a lot of this early to mid game damage as well, where it feels like Dire, it's going to come through very heavily on their level 6s. You know, the Lion, if you can get that ultimate at a pretty good timing with the Finger of Death, the Brewmaster as well on a 5, if you can get that kind of Earth split, the Primal split, and, you know, we could see the RNG supports have a little bit more involvement in this game compared to LBZS. But as our lanes are beginning to commence, like you said, we did already see that Invoker versus the Lina in our previous game, so it just kind of feels like it's a slightly Lina favored.
Lina just pushes out the lane better, utilizes the bottle. But there's some plays Invoker can make. We see her like early on Cold Snap Harass coming out to secure some creep hits, and I think D-Stones will do much better. To me, I think he's going to do better than what Somnus did in the matchup, which is kind of crazy to say. You know, we're talking about Somnus here, but I think this D-Stones, his strength is generally his laning stage, his mechanics. I think his mid to late game decision making is kind of his weak area, and he's just played. This guy is like the pub spammer. That's why he has 2,000. It's not just 2,000 games. Having 600 pub games is a lot. This guy plays pubs 24/7 nonstop.
Eyes on top as well, as you know, we get to see a very, very interesting position 5 here for Red Panda, which is kind of the new acquisition here for RNG. Red Panda, of course, was playing for Elephant throughout the DPC, but you know, he's got a lot of familiarity with this team to keep in mind. You know, RNG, a lot of their plays previously were actually on Sparking Arrow, where they won multiple tournaments there, like the Beyond Epic was one in particular. So they definitely have that connection, but it's just like you were saying, you know, if you can get out of the laning stage.
Yeah. This is definitely a team I think that has realistic TI hopes. You know, Nat picking them for her compendium is not crazy talk. They're one of the dark horses that could upset the Elephant hopes of making it to a TI.
How do we feel like this bottom lane is going to fare, though? Like a Wraith King, Grimstroke, very, very strong lane as we're going to see.
Yeah.
The level 2s that are able to come out, they're getting aggressive on Flyby, and Felix has already used the Earth Spy, so won't have this in the arsenal, hold back LBZS, but see the Doomor is already taking heavy, heavy hits.
It's looking good, and QIQX, a bit of a Grimstroke specialist. It's his like most played hero recently, so this is a hero they fully know how to utilize, and showing it here, picking that melee core that can just get on top of people with the Ink Swell and take advantage. Set up the Stroke of Fate, that's the other big thing. Can't easily land the Stroke of Fate. Sometimes your lane can be a little tricky.
I mean, after the last hit shot, Radiant, they're sitting really comfortably with all their cores, but is this where we're going to have to see maybe some pull shenanigans come through in some of the more difficult lanes?
I'm not sure. They don't really have any, at least on the RNG side. They can't go for stacks. So yeah, maybe they're just going to keep trying to pull this top wave back under the Spectre's tower as much as possible until they get a couple levels, or maybe on the Brewmaster. They don't really have the best answers to fight into this dual lane. Just about stalling these lanes out, and then eventually we see those rotations. But yeah, all three cores are fairly greedy. They picked a Spectre with a Doom Invoker, so D-Stone's just going to have to play very team-oriented.
And Panda, this might be our first blood. Irving doesn't have enough mana for the spear, but that Orb of Venom slow selved up, and Red Panda is actually going to make it back underneath the tower, so that gives pretty much a full wave free for God King under that tier 1, so I guess space in a way?
Yeah, I'm surprised he lived. Just managed to barely get away, and he's going to stack the small camp as well before going back to base. I believe his 4-minute runes come up. Invoker wanted a water rune, and this could be bad for D-Stones.
Yeah, D-Stones. Nice tornado, Catyu. Unable to close the distance there, unfortunately. It was a nice sidestep getting away from the shard block, and this is what we're going to see, though, early on. You know, the Lion and the Tusk, both these heroes are pretty strong at being able to make these rotations to help out for the power rune control, and even we could potentially see something like a Grimstroke getting active, and I guess this is another weakness that they have, like a Brewmaster. Yes, you're 355 movement speed now because you went boots first, but you're not going to be able to get as much impact as some of the Radiant supports.
Yeah. Once the Mars gets this bottle to the top lane, it feels like this lane gets really tricky when they've got that sustain to play around. God King is going to just constantly getting harassed and zone back. We're seeing it here. He's just getting right-clicked down by an Orb of Venom.
All they need is that bottle, like you're saying, just any little bit of extra mana. But I do like the itemization that God King's going for. You know, we kind of see this more Echo Saber orientated Spectre build, but when you've got a really rough lane, like that maxed out dispersion with the Blade Mail, all you want to do is just make sure you can get back into the jungle, because that's where you're going to be able to get, you know, maximize your farming speed, where you're not contested in.
Yeah, the more I see that Blade Mail build, I'm much bigger fan of this as a rotation mid though.
Do you want to grow your YouTube channel? Do you want to earn more views, more subscribers,
this is
more
how
watch
the
time,
Invoker plays his
and of
lane.
course,
it's
make more money?
Anti-fun.
Well, it might.
Just going to constantly burn the Lena's mana whenever possible. Like Lena's going to bottle up, get raindrops, get some clarities, but if she shows herself mid lane, Invoker's trying to land a Tornado EMP, and as soon as you hit one EMP, there's no mana for a Laguna Blade, they can't actually kill you.
Tức là cái đầu này nó lại là cái đầu màu trắng.
We still haven't seen
2 rune bounty dành cho LBZS
6 minutes in.
3 rune bounty dành cho RNG.
Really trying to put the works on.
For lack of trying on both sides. Lena doesn't get the rune she was hoping for and could be in a little bit of trouble mid.
Don't have earn charges, of course, but this would be a great time to pick it up. Split away from the LSA, and there we go. First blood picked up for D-Stones and the earn charges as well. So this is going to make it a lot easier here for the Invoker to get active across the map.
Yeah, getting those first earn charges always feels so nice. Now he knows if he TPs to a side lane for a counterplay or even to set up something, he's already got the easy procs on the cold snap, so great start for RNG. And they've just been playing these rune fights so well. We saw it with the water runes where Lion was rotating over. This is the even bigger one, the 6-minute power rune. And Lion able to catch Lena, playing a bit too greedy. If Lena wants to go for that rune, Lena needs supports of her own to back her up.
Well, Lena chucks out the Laguna Blade, Red Panda, relatively tanky at the moment, will still fall, and great hold from Radiant. Looking to get aggressive with that catapult. They will trade kill for kill, but it's a double support falling.
Evoker thì sẽ chơi được QW đi gây đam chính thì đánh nhau thì điểm mid game.
It does leave God King solo,
Top
but
lane thì
again,
Real Master sẽ hỗ trợ cho
too
God
difficult
King.
to be able to bring down. But I love the emphasis we see. RNG, the movement from both their supports
Đây là một
after
lane mà
that
có vẻ như
kill.
là
Just
không
high level teams
khó
are able to
với
utilize
Spec.
that catapult timing to perfection.
That rotation has become so common, but some teams are just way better at it than others. It is a bit of a problem. This top lane, it still feels like.
Brewmaster, I think God King's just going to get out. Is about to see the extra rotations from X with Lonras. Right click. We've got a little bit of mana as well to still use to chase down God King. LSA's on the mark, and the extra control will fly once Irving can get that spear to the northern tree line, as God King finally will fall. Now it does free up mid, but Radiant, they can just glyph to protect it, and you take a look at the comparison of the position ones. Wishing having an incredible time on that Wraith King, 1 kill, 53 last hits, compared to our God King Spectre, but RNG, they're still thinking about evening up the numbers up top here as QIQX. Nice silence early on, but yeah, he's got no backup this time. So this is what's going to be really, really important for RNG. This Invoker line rotations, they've got to get a lot out of that.
Yeah, this Invoker cannot afford to be taking lanes or hitting creeps. You gotta give a lane to a support to get level 6, like we're seeing with the mid Brewmaster, but at this point, Invoker's meant to be the... I mean, right now this is the early game, so Invoker's not doing anything wrong, but like at 20 minutes, you want Invoker to be your least farm core. You want your Doom and Spectre to have the farm. There's just not enough farm to go around all 3 heroes, so what we're gonna see is just constant activity from D-Stones, hopefully. He's already smoking up, making a move down bottom. And they need to create space for God King, who's still trying to play this top lane. This is really tricky for God King, I feel like. There's so much kill threat with the Mars Arena, and now they've even swung the Wraith King up here.
Yeah, I just took a quick look as well, and it doesn't seem like there's any stacks for God King to be able to get at the moment. Him going up top.
Potential haunt, or... Fine.
There's raindrops and one coming to play. You see the itemization. It's very early game stat orientated, recognizing he's going to have a lot of pressure, so kind of needs to make sure he's able to keep himself afloat. But now you've pushed Spectre back to the jungle pre-Blade Mail, and this should be a free tower.
Yep. Yeah, really good job to make Spectre have a rough game. Although that Blade Mail should come out in not too long. And I think the good news is these other 2 lanes going incredibly well. Doom.
Flyby. He's going to chuck out the Doom here.
Yeah.
They do have the Haunt extra +1 here for God King, but he's in trouble. He just joined them down bot, so Irving can drop the arena. Another round of the LSA. The damage that X is dishing out with anyone trying to pressure the Lina forces God King to lose all that health pool, but RNG, they've still got the numbers. Even Felix is going to look to get involved. Lina burnt out of the mana, burnt out of the health as well, and Irving still stick around because he did TP down, so he's stuck in the tree line. And I mean, RNG, even though they lose the Spectre, the emphasis comes through from the reinforcements.
Yeah. RNG just recognizing the TP advantage. Wraith King was showing on map top, which, you know, usually would be okay if he had a TP up, but he TP'd to the lane and hasn't brought himself a new one yet. So I don't think there's any way RNG can lose that fight without the Wraith King showing up to get involved. And RNG, you know, they may lose their Spectre, but guess what? The Spectre is their weakest core right now, so they don't really lose a whole lot of firepower, and it almost felt like LBZS just got greedy. They're like, okay, we kill Spectre, this is great, this is worth it, but then Doom and Invoker, who are both incredibly strong and scary right now, just clean up. This Doom isn't that greedy Midas Doom. He's ready to fight.
He's so farmed as well. Top of the net worth, 6,500 at the moment here for Flyby. He's actually about to have a BKB already. This could be devastating for a lot of the magical damage that Radiant will have through the early game. But to jump in, Felix will get brought down, but this time Red Panda will have the primal split in the arsenal. So chase forward for more. Catyu, he should be the sacrificial lamb. I say that though, Irving's still going to swick around, dropping the arena. Now holding back these stones, they still don't have the reinforcements, as this time it's RNG with the numbers disadvantage, as they'll be able to get the kill on the Invoker, slowing down his tempo this game.
Yeah, already, I feel like a very different story to last series in the sense. Like, yeah, okay, RNG have a sizable gold lead right now, but like the plays we're seeing from LBZ is just, they're solid. Like Irving's Mars has looked really good with the rotations in place that he's making, always finding the right target. The previous fight just blowing up the Spectre, this time around recognizing the Invoker is the bigger problem, so manages to land the full combo on D-Stones, just making life as difficult as possible for the RNG backline.
Do you want to try and see RNG make a smoke movement with like maybe Lion and Invoker because they have Finger?
Yeah, I think they need to find ideally the Lina with that Finger. The Wraith King's just not a target, or blow up some of these key supports. Like the Grimstroke's causing a lot of problems. If you can kill him before he casts spells, that would be huge.
I guess this is going to come down to the deep vision as well. Like you take a look at the map, Radiant, making sure at least that their bottom jungle and around the mid lane is very well protected, where Dire don't have information to be able to make these movements, top a lot of sentries as well. So they're just making sure that RNG aren't able to use these wards aggressively.
Yeah, RNG, we'll see. Now that the Spectre has Blade Mail, can just play that slower game, have Spectre just sitting in the Ancients and looking to just occasionally pop Haunt to join a team fight. The rest of the RNG side likely ready to fight though. BKB Doom.
Actually down bot they are. Arena and Cat sends up to the heavens. We see that so often with the task. You got high points tag team, Warriors Punch, and a hero with low armor. You can just do so much work. But I do want to ask, how do you feel about Red Panda's Veil this game? So we're seeing the Brew go for a little bit of spell damage amp.
First thoughts, I would say not a big fan of this. I guess they have okay magic damage. A bit of a fight breaking out here mid though. And you may get chased down.
Almost falling to the Cinder Brew. Now it's going to be the Scorched Earth. So much damage with these two combined. That Veil drops Cinder Brew and even with Flyby nearby. And this is a big spike for them because they still have this BKB in 9 seconds. You've got the ultimates back up here for Red Panda. So they're looking to get active and take this tier 1. They also know, like the Spectre, that the Wraith King isn't really looking to get active. He does have the Armlet and queuing the Deso, so he's going to be a little bit more active than the Spectre, but it's not his big timing.
And it's very tough to play into double mana drain. Both the Lion and the Invoker make it really hard for him to choose his fight.
Stones. Nice Tornado on 2. And now Red Panda as well. They should be able to follow up the supports of the target at the moment. They're going to have to roll into the backline as we'll see the Tuskar lose his life. And now Red Panda can just solo down QYQX. It's a nice use of the ultimates from RNG. They're still looking to put some pressure onto More. As Wishing. He's got the cores on the backline. RNG, they have to be careful knowing that these ultimates are on cooldown. But meanwhile, you take a look. It's just all space. Spectre, 4th in net worth. They're doing so much to allow him to catch up. Is Red Panda still?
This high ground clear. Lina needs to be careful.
Oh no, Flyby, nice jump. Instantly Doom, Finger of Death, goodbye. Evaporated from the fight. Like you were saying, just that high ground ward, the emphasis they were trying to put on the control around the triangle, and even God King looking to get involved.
Yeah, they threw everything. That Doom lasted about half a second before Lina was dead. I don't mind. I think it perhaps a bit overkill, but they just know, hey, this Lina, that's one of the biggest targets we can kill. And Lina just playing a bit far forward. We've seen, I think, a bit by a few of these heroes, like Lion dying a couple times.
Oh, this
mid
cool
lane
move.
and bottom lane just out of position.
Mid lane, D-Stones. Speed just gets a connection. I know the ultimates are on cooldown. It's a little bit greedy for D-Stones showing mid. Lion should be okay, but that's a very fast-paced move from Radiant with the catapult wave as well, so they actually might be able to get this tier 1.
Yeah, I don't imagine his team will like that because they were all showing top. They're like, okay, we won this fight, let's take the top tier 1 tower. D-Stone shouldn't have been there. If he's going to throw spells to try and defend this tier 1 mid, do so from complete safety. But he was just, playing too far forward, showing in the lane, and gets picked off.
And you see, I mean, he's also going for this Midas route here for D-Stone, so looking to try and scale a little bit more into that late game, of course, after the Spirit Vessel that is completed. 2 deaths at the moment, so it's definitely slowed down that net worth, but as you were saying, it's kind of to be expected. This Quals Invoker takes a little bit more of a backseat compared to the other cores.
And that's, this is the kind of net worth distribution you one around that 17-20 minute mark. Keeping up with Doom just not possible as RNG looking to utilize the Doom strength to find some more kills, catch you. Making a nice eye shots block, but there's just no escaping for him.
Couple of supports falling across the map. Who do we feel like this game is favoring the moment? Because it does look like both Wraith King and Spectre are getting a lot of farm out of the map. So is there one hero we're going to be a little bit worried about hitting a spike before the other?
I definitely feel much more confident around the Spectre's late game. Wraith King, as mentioned, going to have a tough time playing into the mana drain. It's going to force him into a BKB, potentially an Ag Shard, and even just playing with no mana, even if you've got the Shard, doesn't feel good if you can't throw out your stun. Spectre just feels like a great answer to get on top of this Lina backline, to get on top of Grimstroke. There's just nothing to really ever threat to kill the Spectre once she gets farmed, so definitely liking what RNG have going for them right now.
Sunstrike? I don't think that's enough. How many points in Exort does he actually have? Meanwhile, mid lane? It's just going to be another pickoff here. Lion just trying to do support things. Whenever that tier 1 tower is down mid, often we see a support kind of fill that lane, shove it out, get a little bit of experience, but it's more importantly just a way to be able to block any smoke ganks. Now this DD though, this could be Roche John. They did just get Desolator. They have tagged him as well maxed out. So this is actually a big opportunity here for LBZS.
Yeah, I'm not sure if RNG expect this one. They don't have the best ways to scout the pit, other than the scan. Okay, that's obviously one of the best ways, but they may BT it too late, and LBZS already positioning, playing outside the pit. The Sunstrike's going to come, it's too late, and they maybe found... Oh, he got the ultimate.
Got the ultimate off. GoKing's going to try and snatch it, but he won't be successful. They're targeting down the Grimstroke. He's still able to get the ultimate off, but looks like the Radiant lineup just looking to retreat away. They're happy with getting the Aegis. It does cost them 2. Wishing? No, he's staying there to farm the Ancients. Wishing, what are you doing? He doesn't have the Aegis as well. At least he can play around with the Reincarnation, but the buyback's going to come through for the Grimstroke. They need to try and protect him on this second life, but the Doom's still available from Flyby. Great BKB with the Lunar Blade. They're not going to be able to bring him down as Lina standing at ground, trying to right-click. GoKing stuck on the high ground, but they've stalled the damage, as without the Wraith King and the Luna not being able to utilize the abilities, beautiful Tornado clipping onto 2. They got the Earth Strike into the Sun. They'll be able to catch up the Lina. That is Aegis now down, but look at the commitment. LBZS, multiple buybacks coming through to try and hold the Aegis fight.
Yeah, disaster for LBZS as they just get completely split up at the Roshan. The idea is kind of okay from them, where they have the Mars playing forward to scout out the rotation from RNG, but the problem is they were in this like 2v5 fight. The only way that that fight goes well for them is if they blow up Red Panda, but he got his Primal split off. Great play from him to just instantly use it. As this time around he won't be so fortunate. He doesn't have the ultimate, he'll get picked off, but the big fight has already been won by RNG, and it all comes down to this Brew split. It feels like they have to jump Brew and kill him before he ulties.
Yeah, and is this where Brew maybe even goes for like an Aeon Disc as that second item? I mean, he's got the VIP booster at the moment, so do you feel like this is what he's looking for?
Yeah, Aeon Disc makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's your only job, is to make sure you get ulti off, and he's got plenty of money coming in with the Philosopher's Stone, so I'd like to see an Aeon Disc on him. You know, the Ags is always nice, but if you're a 5, you know, he's a 5 position, he's getting a lot of farm with this Philosopher's Stone, so I don't actually think he's going to have too many problems getting items this game. And yeah, with the Arcane boost pickup, it looks like Aeon Disc is the call.
Just comes down to right now, like you said, if you're able to get that catch on an important target, what do we feel like is the important one for RNG to try and bring down? Who are they prioritizing on the side of Radiant?
We've definitely seen in the fights Lina is like, if we can get the Doom on Lina, let's do it, but I like the way Lina's itemizing, not going for any kind of spellcaster build, just looking to sit back and do as much right-click damage as possible during this BKB, almost expecting to be doomed, as we've seen a few times in these fights. So I would say the biggest target is like any of the team fight specialists. Like the Grimstroke is great, the Mars is good if you can kill him before he uses his spells. Ideal scenario is you kill someone who still has their spells up. You don't want to, you know, throw too much at a Mars who's already hit an arena plus spear. But the Lina and Grimstroke are probably the 2 highest damage, most impactful supports in these team fights.
We'll see RNG with this smoke, if they're going to be able to find these impactful heroes. trying to angle towards this bottom side as they do have this lane getting shoved out from GoDz, who has finished this Manta style pretty recently, and a great Observe Ward in the back line too. So very, very power position for RNG to take the fight. Meanwhile, we also see Radiant. They're looking for their own smoke maneuver here, but who's going to run into who? Flyby, smoke pop. They've got a great Observe Ward as well. The instant BKB now with the Haunt going to be able to provide the vision. QIQX is able to get at least the Soulbind off before he dies, but more importantly, the Doom. It's on top of the Lina. She's going to try and stand her ground and Manfight. You see the right clicks are coming through. Lina's doing so much damage, and then Finger of Death to bring her down. RNG can prioritize now the cause as they'll cancel the life of the Wraith King. Irving will fall, an ultra kill for GoDz and make it a team wipe.
Wow, it just got ran over that fight. Their team fight is just too strong. You have a Primal Split coming out of your 5 position. You have a Blink Earth Spike stunning multiple heroes from your Lion. BKB Doom with a Shiva's Guard. The Haunt enabling all of this because it gives vision, and it just feels like the Mars doesn't get his arena off until the fight's already lost by the time that arena spear comes out, which isn't to fault him. It was just, it's RNG just win this fight too quickly, instantly. The Wraith King desperately needs a BKB to go with the Linas, and even then I feel like it's too defensive. Like, they need these triple BKBs now to win that fight. By the time they get them, they're going to be too far behind.
Yeah, you're already losing way too much map control. It's going to be... They exit back off of the tier 2, so I thought they would have been able to take that, but when you have this very heavy reliance on team fight, usually this is where the other team can recognize the cooldowns and look to punish, but Radiant, they haven't really done that so far this game, and it just means that Dire, they're able to take fights on their accordance. Oh,
for sure. That's last time we saw the ultras on cooldown, they smoked out and they killed the Brew, but it was that's just a support kill, and they don't get any towers out of it. They haven't really been able to capitalize. They don't have perhaps that really fast-paced active hero that plays well around those long cooldowns. Like, they don't have long like Mars Arena is pretty low cooldown, but it just feels like their draft is not punishing the long cooldowns as you mentioned. RNG just playing extra safe, farming the deep on their side of the map anytime they're worried about having their cooldowns.
Yeah, and this has to be incredibly worrying heading into that late game, because again, D-Stone's Midas, the fact that Red Panda is so incredibly farmed from your position 5 Brew, which you are getting so much out of him in these fights. They're going to try and jump in mid, but Red Panda, again, that Observe Water, it paid off dividends through that last fight and is also at least going to be able to keep his life there. But if Red Panda gets his Aghanims, that is really worrisome with how much farm he's getting right now.
Down bottom, tier 2 tower's already been lost, so just to the Sword Spirits and Invoker.
That positioning.
He's got the aim.
He just pops the smoke. One on the backline. They need a target down the Grimstroke. GoDz going to try and do that at the moment, but the arena is protecting QY. So they'll deal with these stones. Not having the Invoker for the fight could be a lot of the control here from RNG, but they're still looking to stick around. GoDz getting pummeled on the backline as Lina finally dealt with the Cyclone, but it cost the 2 cores from RNG, and they're going to look to reset. They won't. Flyby, jump in, BKB along with the Doom. They'll deal with the second life of the Wraith King. They haven't prioritized the Lina at the moment, so X is going to work on the high ground, but finally, after you deal with the rest of the heroes, you can turn back and take care of the Lina.
Yeah, not a bad fight. The Lina doing a whole lot of damage. Like, in some ways, it looked promising at times. Particularly, the damage output from Lina as well as Wraith King, but just feels like RNG have too much farm across the board. Even losing the Spectre there to the Lina combo, they still have this Doom just wreaking havoc in the front lines. He's the top net worth hero, and level 18 now. Every Infernal Blade is hitting hard. Support Lion is just finding multiple impales and getting to throw off second, third round of spells in the fight, and it just feels like there's too many targets to deal with, whereas on the RNG side, like, it's so easy. Like, they just instantly kill. Spectre haunts and Grimstroke dies every single time. He doesn't have that defensive item until now. He finally finishes a Glimmer Cape, but this Grimstroke cannot afford to just die at the start of every fight. They need his spells.
What's the Mars doing here? I'm not sure. He was trying to hide in a little nook there, but he's down for 70.
Yep. That's problematic. Roche is respawning in 20 seconds as well, so if RNG scout that one out, that's a freebie.
We've got a catapult wave too. If they want to hit this tier 2 tower, it is a little bit more difficult mid without. In fact,
being called bottom.
yeah, let's just get another pick off. Why not? Cat U, solid from Flyby. This Doom, so much havoc this game. He's going Refresher Orb already. He's almost got it completed. He does now. He's got enough gold for that. He's so incredibly farmed.
Yeah. Hell of a game from him. 10, 1, and 11. This Doom is putting in work. It's the Doom DPS talent now to go with it.
Can we see, like, what's the play here from Radiant? Did they just have to split push out the map? Because it feels like they can't 5v5.
Yeah, any 5v5 fight where Haunt comes in, gets the backline is going to look ugly, and it's only going to get worse with a Skadi on Spectre. It just means heroes like Lina can't run away as easily, the Grimstroke's in trouble. I think your best bet is, I mean, you see a Doom Refresher, you don't teamfight into it. The only possible way you can teamfight into it is if you kill Doom through a chain stun and don't let him get off his ultimate. That's all I can see for them, which, you know, is not impossible. They got the Mars Blink Arena, but they've got to catch him before he BKBs.
This is a valuable pick-off. God King. Oh, he's so close to the smoke target. No. They just kept going. They may have found him, and they're going to go for the long wraparound here as Dire. They've, again, another powerful position.
But the Aeon disc, they have to find a better target.
Smoke might pop.
Flyby's the best target, but he's positioned too well.
Oh, what a position. Instantly, smoke pops. They chuck up the Doom as well with the BKB. Wishing. They're trying to prioritize Red Panda at the moment, but he's fine. Aeotis gets the connection, and Radiant, they just can't team fight right now. RNG are on another level in this game one. X, he's got to use the BKB defensively to run away from the Brewlings, but in fact, they'll just try and chuck up Wishing instead.
Be careful. Towers do a lot of damage to that Brewling. Alright, you'll be fine. But yeah, that's just the one Doom being used. They just win these teamfights so quickly and decisively. The damage output coming from the Invoker with the max exhort now. And every teamfight just is looking worse and worse. It's not like there is any glimmer of hope. It feels like as RNG, you know, now they have the Refresher, now they have the Skadi, now they have Aegis plus an Ag Shard and G. So every fight getting worse and worse for them.
It's a pretty fast-paced play from them too with this smoke, but Radiant, they're not going to get caught out from it. Taking a look at their lineup though, like they don't have the greatest way to find pickoffs across the map, which could bring them back into this game, or even just split pushing. Oh, X sticking around. BKB still on cooldown. He's got some heroes in the backline, but there's the Doom going to fly out from Flyby, instantly targeting X. A snowball a little bit too late. They secure with a kill. I mean, you can't get rid of the Doom. He's got 2,500 health. Cheese as well. Targeting Flyby is not going to secure you this team fight. They'll deal with the line. There's a little bit of the control. But still, I mean, Flyby is just sticking his ground. It allows D-Stone to go apart of the backline. Alacrity Cold Snap deals with Wishing. He's going to lose his second life as well.
He got the Wraith King with the level death. The Ag Shard on Doom. The old school Dota 1 spell. Well, not exactly, but some remnants of it. He's the multiple of 3. No one else on the other team was, unfortunately. But Wraith King caught in level 18, getting that extra bit of stun.
Look at the siege coming through. That's a catapult with alacrity.
This is looking mighty rough. I mean, 25k gold lead. They're breaking high ground. Completely different story to what we saw in the Southeast Asian qualifiers. These teams not so even, and as soon as one team pulls ahead, they put their foot to the gas and just don't look back.
They're not even going to stick around for the full set, giving a little bit of respect over to the side of Radiant. I mean, they know the ultimates are on cooldown. It's mainly just the Doom. He's got that Refresher backup, almost overwhelming Blink as well for Flyby. I mean, this might be getting to the territory where it's a desperation smoke here for LBZS.
Yeah, that's just going to give him even more survivability. Plus the utility of the AoE damage.
They're running up the high ground blind. Once again, Grimstroke just bursts it down. I mean, the snowball's only going to delay the inevitable. The rest of RNG connecting to the team fight. Cat U's going to get targeted. They've got a couple buybacks. Maybe this is how they can turn a fight. But saying that, Dye just looking way too strong at the moment. With the BKB expiring, they'll run up to the northern side, deal with the Mars, and now inside the base, the Lena will fall as well. These two cores without a buyback in RNG put their stamp on this game one, and that should be all she wrote. LBZS, nothing they can do, and they're going to get sent to the grave from a team wipe. Red Panda will get the triple.
Lion just bouncing by the fountain. A dominant game one. This was not close really at all, it felt like at any point. Doom just absolutely demolishing this game. 13-1-20. The Spectre had a rough lane stage, bounced it back, got the farm needed. I mean, everyone just kind of did their job. I think occasionally we saw the Lion a little bit out of position on Felix Schaubar, but it's just absolutely dominant. Like this was just a stomp. It was very convincing from RNG, which is a good sign because of how good Elephant looked. So it means, you know, it's perhaps not going to be just smooth sailing. Obviously, this is best of three. We're going to be to have ourselves, but, you know, RNG looking absolutely dominant.
That they are. I mean, just... I was a little bit worried about the laning stage. Like maybe this is where LBZS could have that advantage and then storm into a really strong early game. But RNG, they got a lot out of it than what I was expecting. They couldn't punish the Spectre in the jungle. And all in all, it was just a beautiful game one, like you said, kind of stomping this. And, or Nat, I guess her predictions early on, but was favoring RNG through the whole run. And with a game like that to kick it off, looking beautiful for them. So we're going to send this to a break. We'll come back with the panel to break it down.
Stepping out, it's Friday night. How I'm longing for this day. Yes, I'm single.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's break down that game one from the LBZS vs RNG series. We saw RNG take game number one, and even though God says that, you know, it wasn't too even, I would have to disagree. That early game looks pretty even up until about the rush fight when RNG forced a few buybacks and still came out of that fight on top. But why do you think the laning phase was so even, God?
They picked some heroes very much geared for the laning stage. The Lena matchup mid versus Invoker. That was why they gave D-Stones his Invoker. The Tusk Mars. I mean, RNG didn't expect Spectre to have a good lane. That was always going to be okay, maybe lose the lane, but catch up later. And then I think the Wraith King Grimstroke just played their lane pretty well, although Doom still free farm. But the bigger problems came later. Every fight, like... Brewmaster is one of my most played heroes, like top 5, top 10. And the big thing with this hero when it comes down, like I used to play it more in like the offlane role as a core, even mid. It's all about whether or not, if they can stun you and kill you before your ulti, your game's really tough. But at no point did it really feel like they were threatening Red Panda to kill him before his ulti went off.
Yeah, I would, I guess I'd agree with that one. I liked the breakdown there. Ares, when it got to late game, right? So now we've talked about the early game a little bit. When it got to late game, was this just a snowball effect? But was there also a combination of execution that RNG just was so much more decisive in when they were fighting?
I definitely think this is probably an execution factor, and also it's going to come down to a little bit of experience as well. Like, you take a look at the RNG plays, they've got a lot of experience through the scene. I mean, Flyby has previously played at TI. He even played with RNG at TI9. So this is, just the coordination, the communication, and this is where it's going to come into play here when they have a very heavy team fight lineup. I mean, Spectre, Voka, Doom, Brewmaster, Lions, one of the supports that has really good team fight. Just their whole lineup is able to excel. Where you take a look at LBZS, they're more orientated around just playing around the lanes, getting pickoffs, and then really snowballing it from there. So I think once they had that really rough fight after they claimed the Aegis, RNG were in prime position.
On the side of LBZS, if we were to do this game over and let's say RNG get the exact same draft again, what would you be hoping to see different from LBZS draft-wise, but also that execution-wise?
I think having a different carry. I'm not sold on Wraith King being the best. They pick it in the first phase, which is what seems a bit crazy to me. I think you're playing against Doom, and Wraith King feels better than having like a Terrorblade or Medusa or something. But I think in general, those carries are just going to be more reliable for you, and you can't be overly afraid of this Doom. You've got to still play. If you want to win and get past a team like RNG, you have to play confident Dota, and that to me was kind of what was missing from them.
So, would you like to see a Doom banned from LBZS, or are you okay to let it go through and just hope that they play that confident side and just draft more for them and to deal with the Doom?
Yeah, I would say just ban the Doom. I mean, it's a very easy approach to the post game. It's like, okay, we didn't really have a good answer to Doom. Let's just ban it and then make them play something else. Even though I don't think Doom was the only problem. I think the way they played their draft was part of the problem. I think, the big picture wise, the Brewmaster caused a lot of problems, end up being a really sick support, which I feel like it shouldn't have had that big of an impact. So, but the Doom is the hero that put up the big score lines and caused them the most problems. So, yeah, banning Doom sounds fine.
And last question, Aries, quickly, what hero do you want to see RNG play again? What are you hoping to see in Game 2?
I'm down for a brew again. I'm actually down for a brewmaster again. I want to see the priority, or at least overall, again, China, their position 5 flexibility in hero pool. We've seen it on Lenham time and time again. We're seeing it on Red Panda now, but the brewmaster picked up, and this isn't game 1. So you already know they're going to have some pocket strats coming in, and my eyes are just on, can they get the brew again? If they're even actually going to prioritize, it's a question. I think it actually comes down to first pick, who has, I actually can't remember who had priority in that last game, but maybe instead of banning the Doom, maybe they first pick it instead. So who knows? But I think overall, just RNG, very, very solid execution. And if they can get the draft they're looking for, then they should be happy.
We made me really excited for Game 2 draft, but before we get there, we're going to head to a break.
One night to change your mind. Wait until the morning before you get out of here. Yeah, baby, we need more time to change our lives. Yeah, we could be the greatest if you just give us a chance. Yeah, can we just stop fighting one time? Can we just stop fighting one time? Can we just stop fighting one time? Yeah, and have a good life. Can we just stop fighting one time? Can we just stop fighting one time? Can we just stop fighting one time? Yeah, and have a good life.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2 of our second series today against LBZS and RNG. Before the break, we had a discussion on sort of what we wanted to see RNG continue to do, but also what we wanted to see LBZS change up. So I want to do some theory crafting with you guys. We said we want to see the Doom banned. It's pretty easy, simple fix, right? If we're banning the Doom, who are we going to let through? You know, who's going to be easier to deal with? Someone that maybe they're more confident to match up against. Normally we see the Nyx, Viper, Timber, Brood, Phoenix sorts of bans. So which one of those 5 do you think they'll be letting through in order to still ban that Doom?
Might be one. I mean, I was going to say one of the supports, but last game they gave away Lion anyway, so I guess I would look maybe more at the offlaners. Problem is, maybe it's a Brood or something. I think Brood's a pretty scary hero. It just comes down to kind of like a pick your poison when it comes to these drafts sometimes. You can't ban everything. You only get those 2 bans at the start.
Do you think if they let the Brood through, then we might potentially see an Axe come out from LBZS? Like, is that a hero that we've seen them play before? Something that they might be comfortable on executing?
Spoiler alert, I don't think they're going to let the Brood through.
Oh, we're already in draft, so don't
got
worry
it.
about my theory crafting. We just got okay.
It's hard to answer a question like that with a straight face when I at the corner of my eye, I see the draft. I'm like, oh, I know the bans. Let's pretend. What would I say if I didn't? But yeah. So yes, they have banned the Brood. It looks like they'll leave the Doom in once again. I think it was something that one of you suggested they could perhaps just steal it. That's another idea.
Yeah, I am a bit nervous for them letting the Doom through, especially after the grand finals or actually just a bunch of different games in Southeast Asia. They would let the Terror Blade through over and over again, thinking they could deal with it, but didn't really have an answer to it. So I do think that the only way LBZS really have an answer for that is to pick the Doom out from under them, but they're not going to first prioritize it. It is going to be that Lion instead, which is good. Like you say, Lion's very flexible, great stun, a little bit OP at the moment, so it is great to see them on that side.
10 seconds remaining.
But what do you feel RNG might come out with Ares in terms of
5
supports?
seconds remaining.
Well, we see the Nyx and Phoenix is gone, so they're not going to have at least that to be able to follow up with. They can AA +1 if they want. Probably Mirana plus a stun now, I would imagine, to follow it with. They don't have the DK, which would have been one of the better pairings I prefer, but it's the classic just Mars offlane for the China region.
Does this mean it's still a chance for LBZS to pick up the Doom? Or do you think that's one of those bit of mind control things? RNG are like, well, we don't want it. Maybe if we let it slide through, they'll pick it, and that's exactly what we want. Not that they're going to pick it.
Yeah.
I like TA though. TA's been a hero was banned out the entire last series. TA's just looked broken in the hand of certain mid players who are like TA specialists. It was like Fnatic against TNC would not let Armel play a game of TA because he's just too good on the hero. So TA, if you've got a good TA player, is insanely powerful.
Do you think even picking it up this early, it's still a good choice?
I think it can work,
5
yeah.
seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think you have to, if you're going to TA, you need to do it in the 8th pick, because we kind of brought up the Wraith King in the first game, where you go for a core in this 8th pick, you protect it with your second phase ban. So get rid of the Viper, even the Wyvern ban actually, so not really a laning stage counter, it's more just what TA is going to be dishing out through the mid game as well, so just a lot of emphasis on stopping that physical damage.
10 seconds
With the
remaining.
TA most likely going mid, I don't think we'll really be seeing her going anywhere else. And this line offering a lot of flexibility. We believe the Mirana is going to be safe. Is it safe to assume that one?
You mean it played in the safe lane?
RNG.
Yeah.
I think it almost certainly will be a 4-position Mirana played in the support role.
Oh, okay.
I think usually you're doing this range support Mirana with the like tanky, like a 3-position Mars. So you're just sitting behind, arrowing any hero that the Mars stuns with a spear, going back to your jungle to make a bunch of stacks for your carry. I think that's one thing RNG want is just a hero that can farm jungle stacks. Mirana is one of the better heroes in the game to make those stacks because you are often playing out of the lane. But yeah, almost 100% this should be a support Mirana.
then what's a really good pairing with that line up against the Mirana?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The carries.
Too many possibilities.
Picking carries into Mars Mirana, I mean, it's just a tough lane regardless. I guess line
Yeah,
could
okay.
theoretically be flexible. Generally, against this Mars plus Mirana, like the chain stun, having like a hero. We've seen it. This is where in other regions teams would just pick a Baden. It gives you the aphotic shield where you just save whoever
Oh,
gets
I
stunned.
see.
That's. I was going to say, like China, they've always had emphasis on again when they verse the Mirana, you see dispel. It doesn't even matter if they're not viable because we don't see Omni a lot. We don't see even Abaddon, like other regions don't prioritize it. Legion, really only Death was playing it. So this is where, like you take a look at RNG, they're very reliant on having this single target lockdown. Mars sets up for the arrow. We might even see another support 5 here for Felix that could potentially also roam and gank with the Mirana. So they may push the line to a 4 and then go for and like an Abaddon sort of roll 5 or like an offlane and that can dispel. But sometimes I'm worried if you don't identify with the issue that they have with the Miranus and Mars. And oh, Brew again? Alright.
You got it. You got what you asked for. You got the brew coming out. Are you still excited for it? Seeing the Mirana and Mars come out with it?
I think like Parker was saying that one of the biggest issues with Brew is if you get stunned before your ultimate. And there are a lot of ways this game to kill the Brew. Like Lion jump in, instant hex, TA's got the burst. I do like Brew versus Templar Assassin though, just because this is a hero that has a lot of heavy damage in fights. And if you get Cyclone, you're instantly taken out. So, you know, there we go. Legion picked up. All right, so they do go for a hard dispel.
Hard dispel. And a hero who can jump the Brew, stop the ultimate from coming out. So there's a couple of, I think, good points that this Legion brings to the table. It's a, you know, that ag shot with the press the attack can be really good for enabling your TA to just win you a team fight by her damage output. So curious to see how RNG approaches. I think you really need to play fast against this support Brew because this is a hero that you've got to be able to punish the long cooldown, the ultimate, and the fact that it's a support Brew. It's not doing a whole lot outside of throwing his Cinder Brew in a team fight when his ultimate's down.
Okay, and then I just really want to jump into this straight away because I want to hear the conversation about it. They pretty much pick Spectre up, not instantly, but quite quickly. But then the Luna comes out very quickly in retaliation. I want to know matchup-wise, scaling-wise, how they're going to go up against each other, and if you favored the Luna pick with the lineup more than the Spectre pick with the lineup gods.
I definitely, as far as the carry versus carry matchup, it's Spectre favored. The question is, can Luna play fast enough? You're going to out-farm Spectre as Luna. You have the stack farming capabilities with your bouncing glaives. You come online earlier with your BKB, but if Spectre gets that Mantis Skadi going, at that point the game starts to slip away from Luna unless you're like 10k gold ahead. So I like the idea from LBZs, which is, you know, they pick a carry matchup that isn't the greatest, but it fits their playstyle, which is play fast, win the game early to mid game. And for RNG, I mean, I think both teams pick a carry that suits them. It's let's just sit back, and if we get a farm Spectre, we win the game.
Yeah, I do like the LBZS, what they're pulling here, because I think their strongest sort of timing in the first game was that early to mid, and then as it got on later, they definitely dropped off a little bit more. So I like the fact that they know that that was really strong for them, and they're putting this draft around that. I just really hope that it's not going to be one of those RNG games where potentially they still come out quite well from the laning phase. But Undying is going to close it out. Aries, that's a reaction and a half. Tell me why you like it, why you don't like it, and why the reaction.
Well, Undying was actually one of the better ways to deal with the Mars for a long time ago that China were putting a lot of emphasis on. Like, you'd first pick the Mars, it'd get instantly answered by the Undying, and then the other team would then pick a support as a position 4 that's ranged and can deal with the Tombstone, which they already have in the Mirana. So it's kind of interesting what they're dishing on here for LBZS. They're looking to put a lot more emphasis on slowing down flyby, because that is how they're going to be able to make plays. And I love that pick. I was going to say, you know, D-Stones, you need a stun, you need a way to set up for Mirana's arrow. You can't just rely on Mars. You know, Parker's been saying that the Brew as a position 5 and in general is very cooldown reliant. You've got a Spectre who's not going to make plays, so you need someone for D-Stones to get active early. It's another strength here, which they have a lot of at the moment, but I don't mind the Conquer.
any more thoughts you want to share with the Kunkka rounding out that RNG lineup, GoDz?
It's great because you have a good way to break the refraction with the torrent. Just give them a good way reliable way to start the fight. As Aries mentioned, setting up the arrow is so important, and it means they're not entirely reliant on flyby. Although, based on last game, flyby is more than up to the task to carry some games from the off lane. Yeah, I think RNG just have a much more well-rounded draft. I look at LBZS and I see like TA, Legion, Luna, like these three cores together don't have any team fight. They're kind of greedy, but at the same time do not scale late game against the Spectre. So I'm definitely worried, and I think we could see another RNG. I don't think they're going to do well in the first 5-10 minutes in the lanes, but come 15-20 minutes in, I think RNG looks really strong.
RNG seem to be able to keep calm under that pressure. They don't really scramble too much if a laning phase isn't going too harsh. They know how to transition well from that laning phase to the mid game. I like their lineup. I do like the team fight aspect coming out from them, so that's where I'm going to reside for this game number 2. But, boys, take it away. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Nat. So away, it's going to be a beautiful second game here. I like that China going back to a bit of a classic counter to the Mars in the Undying. My eyes are on LBZS if they can actually execute the laning stage a little bit better than what they did last game. I know they played great laning stage last game, but I think with the lineup they had to be a little bit more ahead than what they were. And I think this is pretty similar this game with how they've kind of drafted, especially with that Undying.
Yeah, I think the trap a lot of these less experienced, less accomplished teams fall into is they know how to play lanes. Like in terms of, that's probably the thing easiest to replicate when you play your pub games is lanes in pubs are very similar to Pro Dota. Where things start to slip up is that the rotations. I think we saw last game LBZS kind of slightly ahead in lanes or at least even, and then some of the moves they made with their like mid laner rotating and stuff just didn't really work or just didn't make sense. And then they never really pressured the RNG side of the map. They never stopped the Spectre from just farming the jungle. So they can't just win lanes. They have to turn those lanes into an advantage. They have to pressure.
Whose spray is that mid? Did you see that kind of teddy bear? It's done bot now on Felix.
Oh, I was about to say it disappeared as well. I'm guessing it's an RNG spray. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure the backstory of this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before, actually. Here we go. We got our lanes now continuing forward. How about the bounties looking? Just a classic old 2 for 2. Nothing out of the ordinary there, but...
I'm guessing it's the Red Panda spray, but would be my guess. I feel like that's some Red Panda thing.
Just a non-red panda, but still a panda, I guess.
Yeah, not sure. The bear of sorts.
Just a bear. It's a formidable one at that. As we see. Again, how do we feel? Now, it's a little bit different of a matchup here for a God King against the Lion and the Legion. Do you think it's going to go a little bit better than what last game was?
Yeah, I think at the same time, I mean, Tusk Mars was good because you had the Ice Shard into the spear. I think the range support line is nice. Red Panda is he did this last game. He's just going behind sniping careers. They bring out, he's not even trying to harass them in lane. He literally knows, he's like, I'm a 5-position brew. I'm kind of useless. What can I do? He's going to just snipe their careers, prevent them bringing more regen, more items for the lane, just be pesky. And he's going to steal the Spectre's creeps. Casually.
Just a good old thunderclap. This is where you're in a pub. You stop pinging out the 5. It's like, hello. What, like, why are you clapping my creeps? I don't know what's going on. Like, this is my farm. But again, it's another lane where Raiden, they're actually looking to shove the wave in underneath the tower. Do you like kind of the style they're going for?
Often playing these side lanes is about getting level 2 before your opponents. But I feel like when you're pushing it into the tower of a Spectre, that's exactly what Spectre wants in these tough matches. Spectre is going to lose the CS battle, or at least should lose this CS battle, but this is, for me, setting up the Spectre to have the best possible lane out of this. Like, you're going to get at least an okay amount of CS, and you're going to get harassed less because you're playing under your tower. The bonus regen, the bonus armor is just really nice. That's exactly what Spectre wants for the lane.
You take a look at LBZS's lane down bot here for Wishing. 11 last hits on the Lunar at the moment. again, my eyes are on the lane for flyby. Usually this Undying has been a great way to deal with the Mars early, but you are paired up with the position for Mirana, and any ranged hero deals very well with Undying in the lane, it feels.
By the way, Kunkka getting both water runes mid, something you rarely see. I like the way D-Stones is playing this matchup already. Takes both runes, pressures the lanes. Oop. First blood down bottom. My bad. I'm talking about other stuff that's useless, but there was a first blood.
I didn't even see that either. It was just a speed God's Rebuke into the arrow, it looked like. So, there's the matchup I was kind of saying, the Mirana versus the Undying, and first belt picked up here for RNG. Great start to a lane that I thought wasn't going to go as well for them.
Yeah. Orb of Venom, I don't hate it, but I feel like that's an item that exposes you, makes you very vulnerable. Having less regen, having like a Ring of Protection, I feel would be better for him, because this Blightstone Mirana is putting this Undying on 0 armor. I think he made a big mistake not going for like a Ring of Protection here in lane.
Yeah, I agree.
Brewmaster knows what's up. He's got the Ring of Protection.
Yeah. Like you're not going to be right clicking the Mirana, and that's kind of Mirana's going to try and drag the Undying out of the lane so Flyby can have like a 1v1 versus Wishing, and you're right. Like we just haven't seen this Orb of Venom really do what it's to be expected, just a constant harassment and trying to zone back and chip down Flyby. But he's got 15 last hits and having another great lane here, and that's very worrying because we saw what he could do last game on a Doom with farm. Now Mars as well could have a high capability to make plays. How do we feel like this mid lane? I mean, already I know we're 4 minutes in and it's pretty even at the moment last hits, but in regards to these plays, what does the TA and Conquer want to kind of do through the early game?
Farm. Farm lots of creeps. No, Kunkka's going to actually look for openings. Like when he hits 6, he's probably asking like if a support or someone can TP in. If he hits an X, it's very low cast range. But if he gets that X boat torrent combo, they can kill the TA with like a Mirana rotation. I think the Mirana arrow move around the Kunkka is huge. Kunkka doesn't really want to rotate to a side lanes because there isn't that guaranteed setup until he gets more points in the X. So I think he's asking his Mirana, stack lots of jungle camps for me and come look for an arrow mid. There is crazy stacks going on in this dire jungle already.
Yeah, we didn't see last game them put as much emphasis on trying to enable God King in the jungle, but he still had incredible time. And is that your mid time, as you see? Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit off there from D-Stones. And now Mirana showing mid might leave Flyby vulnerable as they did TP Cat you down. And you also take a look at the vision game right now from LBZS. It's a lot of wards at the top side, which I thought they would have put a little bit more priority kind of around the bottom eastern side of the map where Felix will rotate through.
Yeah, I think they are reacting too much to last game rather than what's going on now. Last game, they let this Spectre fall back to the jungle and just free farm. So like, oh, let's get wards up so we kill this, so we can deal with the Spectre jungling. But Spectre hasn't even left the lane yet. So these wards feel a bit preemptive. They're not addressing the stacks, which is the Mirana who is stacking, continuing to stack. But here we go. 6-minute runes coming up. That's the big thing. And oh, D-Stones gets lucky. Has it spawn top after he secures it with an next Torrent.
And now we may be able to see the Conquer think about a rotation to either top or bot. It's very difficult to get to one of these lanes unless you TP through. And also we're seeing like Red Panda, he's not really playing in the lane, but the information that he's providing his team as Flyby might be in a bit of trouble here down bot. They're going to drop the Tombstone. Only 2 points in the beam, so Felix is going to try and deal with the Tombstone, which will give Flyby the opportunity to get back underneath the T1 tower. And he's got the health to survive the Luna's damage early on at the moment.
Yeah, bit of a wild-looking arrow, but he made the play needed to save his buddy, and 125 gold for a Tombstone is quite a lot for a support. So at that point, where Kunkka now ready to fall back and take those stacks, so a big gold infusion going to be going his way. At least the normal jungle stack. Not sure if he'll go for the Ancients or not.
Top lane. Got our first duel coming out. This is very ambitious duel. As they just bring him down to half health, and God King's like, okay, I'm just baiting. I got D-Stones that can TP in. I've got even Red Panda that's nearby as well. Irving, relatively tanky. He's got even Wishing that's going to show up here on the Luna, so it's a brawl occurring at this top lane. But we've got no casualties.
I think that's RNG got a bit... They got too excited when they survived the duel. I think they're like, go! They used duel! It's like, we can kill them. You're a level 5 Spectre and a support level 3 Brewmaster. But Kunkka does some decent-ish damage.
Flyby. Drop in the arena, they just want to target Wishing, and that they will.
Yep.
Legion not having enough mana, didn't actually even want to use the Soul Ring for the press the attack. Now that death, yes, it's on the Luna, which you never want to lose your core. It is allowing EXO to farm the Ancients, and RNG haven't been able to make any aggressive infiltration movements. Might even get a solo kill on X.
The really bad news though for Luna is she just TP'd to that lane. Ooh, arrow catches TA mid.
They can speed pushing back. Positioning's a bit awkward.
Yeah, there's another refraction, which will be burned away though. That Cinder Brew. I wonder if we'll see that Veil build again. I wasn't too keen on it, but the Cinder Brew does so much magic damage that maybe it's just... I mean, I don't know how you play Brew these days. Red Panda perhaps showing that Veil is the way to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like the skill build as well. It looks like again he's going into maxing out the Cinder Brew, which I guess if you've got a team that can get the proc pretty easily, then the damage definitely does show early on. It's top. Eastern's trying to get a catch.
And the X could lead to a arrow follow-up and a potential kill. Mirana really wants those first earn charges, but not finding too much. Bit of a farm game, which, you know, we talked about this. This is, I think, more pressure on LBZS to be the ones playing more fast tempo, at least in the mid game. Not like right this second, but once TA gets that like Dragonlance Deso, they want to be taking objectives and really not giving RNG this room to get Spectre farms.
He's in trouble. He doesn't have refraction available. So they even commit the haunt. He's going to jump away to mid after the kill, but D-Stones this time will be successful with finding his first involvement in the game here.
D-Stones being a good teammate, not farming the Ancient stacks, leaving those for God King when he completes his Blade Mail, which will still take some time. So, you know, theoretically they could farm them and maybe start restacking them, but it doesn't look like that's the call for now. I think it is probably... Yeah, you do much rather get this farm on the Spectre than the Kunkka, obviously, so... wow, he actually, he does get another stack.
Is that 5 now? Yeah, that's a fat stack to be able to take. They're gonna try and chase down D-Stones.
Yeah, as soon as that Tombstone comes on the high ground, they can't deal with it, they just get the hell out of there. Radiant need to scout and contest these stacks, I feel like. They've got a TA, that's like one of the better heroes to fight over these stacks. But the problem is Luna's actually dead again. Mars is just being all over. Flyby picking up where he left off. He has been the star player of this series from the offlane.
Just another key kill on top of the Luna there, wishing 2 deaths at the moment. Felix even helping out as well. So these two are going to be a scary prospect for LBZS to be able to deal with. And Radiant, they need a group up, and Tops, that's going to be the place to do so. If they can get this early tower, then it's going to open up the map a little bit more for Wishing, a little bit more camps he can farm, and just gives him a safer area as well.
It was Kunkka in the end who farmed up the Ancient stack, so they'll have to, you know, do some restacking for Spectre. Or just, you know, tell Spectre, you know, you're on your own. Let's get this Kunkka out of control. He's got an Armlet coming out.
Yeah, but you were saying like this is a beautiful thing about the TA with your vision advantage early with the traps, and we actually saw it was Dyer who was putting a lot more emphasis on warding up and centering around Radiant's triangle. So I guess just, you know, this is one of the beautiful things about the Undying too. You can infiltrate early, control an area with the Tombstone, but it's just another game where Radiant aren't playing aggressive early and limiting the Spectre from free farming and the Conquer from getting that stack, and it's a bit worrying.
And when they drop that Tombstone around the area, their only stuns is this Lion, which, you know, a lot of games having a Lion as your main disable is fine. I mean, they've got the Jewel, but I don't really count that at this stage of the game. It just feels like they don't have that hero really to run in and force RNG to fight around that Tombstone. When like we saw, it got dropped on that cliff, and RNG just walked away. So, and once RNG get their ultimates, now they've got a Brewmaster 6. They'll maybe take those fights if they can, or just use that split to kind of disengage with the Cyclone.
And RNG with their team fights, like not even just a split. You've got Horn, you've got Boat flying through Arena. Like, how are you actually going to be able to protect the Tombstone with all these ultimates that RNG have? It's just going to make the fight so much of a cluster that it can be very awkward to control around the Tombstone and protect it.
Yeah. And even if you get on a high ground, you know, Spectre can kind of dagger up there, has decent-ish attack speed. Mirana can then hit it too with the leap charges, so they've got plenty of ways to kill this tomb pretty quickly. Night Shadow was popped, or at least hasn't been popped, but could be popped. They are looking to fight around this Bruce split. They got the X now.
At you. It's a great target to bring down. A lot of the control to press the attack. They still get the boat connection, and now with the Horn fly through, RNG, all their ultimates are going to be committed, but they haven't been able to cancel them on LBZS. This is the important thing. You've got to stop RNG before they get their ultimates off, and they're unable to do that as they lose 3. Meanwhile, the Brewmaster controlled up the Templar Assassin, so X had 0 involvement through the fight, and now with the speed drag back, we'll end up seeing the TA lose her life as well. RNG just so clean, so crisp as Flyby gets a triple.
8-0. Spectre already back farming. Spectre, you know, God King cliffed himself just to kill the Tombstone, which honestly was probably the best thing he could do after committing the Haunt. He was like, okay, this Tombstone is how we lose this fight. I'm just going to tunnel vision on it. Then he's cliffed, but he just TP's out to go farm Ancients. And meanwhile, the rest of his team. This Kunkka with this early armor doing so much damage in these fights. It's 8-0. And I think Lion, a bit of kind of misplay, I think, or just bad team coordination. He just kind of thought he was dead, so he threw out his spells, but oh, they blow up the remote of the finger. But he actually got saved multiple times. First the press the attack, and then the heal from the Undying Soul Rip. I don't think you expected to be saved there, because he could have backed up and maybe got off another round of spells if he repositioned.
Lane, again, they're going to go.
They got
nice
2 in the
torrent.
torrent.
He showed, rips apart the Lion. And we'll be able to protect the Tombstone. This might be an advantage here for LBZS, but the armlet's toggled as D-Stones. He'll find the victory of the game with the run buff. He'll still lose his life. But Wishing stuck underneath the Tier 1 tower arena with the Gladiators blocking the retreat. But Wishing's still going to try and stand his ground with the Eclipse, but once God King shows up, he will not be able to win that man fight. So Spectre claiming the kill on the opposition position 1. They're not done just yet. Flyby doesn't get the speed connection, but still X is further away from the defensive Tier 1 tower. He's got to back up with QIQX, with Cat-U nearby as well. And Spectre's committed. The slow from the manager end. They've also got the ultimate here from the Undying. So God King, one more meld strike. In fact, it's Irving who will come through with the overwhelming odds. And LBZS, they hit back with 4 kills there.
Yeah, great recognition that RNG were chasing too hard, too fast, and also RNG just missing a couple of spells there. The spear back just pushed him back down to the river, but didn't actually latch on to anything. Combine that with the Mirana going for an arrow onto the TA, that kind of caught a creep as well. So they just chased. I think it was like, oh, we killed the Tombstone, we're going to win this fight. But TA, just with this Dragonlance, like no even Deso to go with it, but just Dragonlance plus a Mithril Hammer treads and some refraction charges is a force to be reckoned with, as we just saw. So without the Kunkka there to easily lock people down with the X Torrents and to break the refraction, you've got to kind of not be so aggressive with your RNG.
Well, they're looking to be aggressive now with that Moonlight Shadow. It did get scouted out, so great positioning with the traps that absorb water as well from the top river. We did see Radiant in that game 1 be able to take a very early Roshan with the double damage rune as well, so maybe it could be another opportunity here, because you know, you've got Undying, Tombstone, Flesh Golems, great TA with maxed out Meld and Desolator, so all that minus armor. So if they have to sneak it potentially to come back into this game, because unfortunately Irving is going to pay the price here. He's getting held back up a decent amount. Flyby, Blink in the backline, controlling X along with QIQX, but they're not doing any damage at the moment to lock in the Templar Assassin. As RNG, they trade a 1-for-1, but God King, he's in no man's land. He tried to deal with the Tombstone, but it's going to cost him his life here as he's down 40 seconds on the deck.
Alright, this Tombstone sign caused some problems. That max level Tombstone with more hits to kill it, and Mirana didn't want to commit hard for it, whereas Spectre ran in thinking, okay, I can just hit this and pop a Blade Mail, but this is still a 1300 health Spectre, and even with Blade Mail, you know, TA's got 1600 plus health, they've got heals and sustain on the Radiant side. that Spectre is playing as if, you know, she's like a 2 or 3 solid Spectre when she's kind of just got Blade Mail Yasha. It's not the kind of part of the game where you can just run in that aggressively. So we're going to see a bit more caution coming in from Mr. God King.
Props to Radiant though, they are doing a very good job at keeping this tier 1 mid alive, and they're going to hit a pretty decent timing soon. They actually get the tier 1 mid first, so this is going to open up the map. Roshan could be an option for them as they are hanging around the area. I don't know if they're going to do it without getting a pick off though. This could be dangerous.
They're going for it. Torrent could cause some problems. Kunkka a bit low in mana though. Arrow will scout things
Roshan
out. It's dying
down.
fast.
Well, we saw what happened last game. It looks like this time they will not lose anyone after claiming the Roshan. So we put a lot of emphasis on the fact that LBZS, they're going to have a very strong kind of 20-minute timing here once the BKBs get picked up because of how fast your Luna can farm, how fast your TA can farm. And now with that Aegis advantage as well, it just might be playing all into the cadence that they're looking for.
Yeah, and on the other side, I think the reason RNG don't even try contest is they've kind of slowed down their timing a bit. The Spectre dying in 2 fights in a row. Spectre was having such a great game before those deaths and was really starting to come online in a big way. Took a bit of a hit in terms of net worth, still seeing 5th and, you know, slowly climbing, but I feel like the Spectre would be around 9k net worth as well if not for those deaths and actually ready to fight with a Manta style. So I think RNG are like, okay, remember last game, you know, we control the late game. We're not in any rush. We can give them an Aegis and still be in a perfectly fine position. So they are looking to just kind of slow things down a bit here.
And the pickup potential on Radiant isn't as high as what you'd be hoping for the other team that's looking to slow it down. I mean, Irving's going for a lot more of this utility build, Hood into this early Aghanim shard. He's already got that press to attack maxed out, but this might just be a farming Aegis for a minute or two until their BKBs. I mean, just looking for the recipe on Wishing jumping mid. Actually, I say that. Instant press the attack. Wishing's going to look to turn with the Tombstone so far in the backline of the Soul Repeal. This is not the start that RNG are looking for, even though they have killed off the line, but they're going to look to retreat. Red Panda, great use of the Cyclone, should allow them to get back to safety. And with all those ultimates committed, maybe now LBZS can look to get active to take this top tier 2 tower.
Yeah, definitely not a bad loss for LBZS, and if they can just, yeah, like you say, play active on the map, they're going to be the ones controlling this game right now. Yeah, they're down 3k gold, they're down 6 kills to 14, but they're on a timer. There's a Spectre who's going to have a Manta soon, and when that Spectre hits Skadi, it could just be game over unless they've managed to turn this game around. If it's still an even-ish gold game and Spectre has Skadi, I don't see a way for Radiant to win this game, so it's go time now.
I really like this itemization from Radiant. Actually, second Felix? Just the shenanigans. I was bring up the emphasis. You got to push up top, Cat. You blind Earthspike, just shy. But I have a lot of single target priority with trying to burst heroes down. So QX, maxed out Soul Rip with the Holy Locket. Irving, he's already got that Aghanim Shard. So just a recognition that you have to play a little bit of a bait game. You angle the TA, angle the Luna, and then with that mass heal, turn the fight from there, drop the Tombstone, and then chase down RNG when they overcommit.
Yeah, and similar to the early game today where FY played Mirani and went for this Yule's Urn, I feel like we're going to need to see a Spirit Vessel against all this healing. Luna's going to have a BKB, and so's TA, but still at some point the Spirit Vessel just feels like a necessary component to try and at least somewhat negate some of these heals.
Double BKBs now from Radiant, and they are going to smoke up. 3 heroes without the TA or Luna, but they are getting scouted on the map. X showing down bot, and Wishing showing mid. So RNG, with this information, let's see how they're going to play accordingly.
What's the move going to be? Spectre. Oh, she may get caught here. Fine's got a Blink Dagger.
Got the damage, 1900 health.
I think they
Do
should.
have Mars nearby. Finger's still on cooldown. Spectre falling low with that damage, and from QX it is enough.
Barely.
They find the kill just in the nick of time, and now with the Tombstone in a power position, can RNG look to continue to take the fight? A BKB pop from Irving. In fact, press the attack. And
With the shard, they're so strong. You can't really fight into this max press the attack plus ag shard now, and
Dire's bottom tower.
great little pick off.
And they're going to have another round with the finger. So if one of the heroes from RNG caught out here, that could just be another quick pick off for LBZS. And we've got a ball game here. This is neck and neck from what it was looking like early. RNG were potentially just going to steamroll over this game, but LBZS doing very well to even it out.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
And we'll see where things progress from here. Red Panda with the Philosopher's Stone on Brumas are going to be looking at a very fast Aghanim Scepter, but there is a gank coming his way.
Trouble.
They want to fight with the
Meta
Aegis
for the
expiring.
ultimate. They're actually going to turn, yeah. Haunt committed. Kill off the Lion, Radiant. TPs are starting to come through, but you have to pop the BKB on X. Not something you're looking to do. That's 9 seconds down the drain now.
And not as bad as the old days, but it's still not great. And just recognizing that once Lion blinks in aggressively and it's on a support, Spectre's like, great. They've used Hex, they've used Impale. It's my time to shine. Like, that Lion is the most annoying hero in these team fights. It's all of the control and lockdown. If they ever catch Lion aggressively jumping in or out of position, they're gonna. That's when RNG want to take a fight.
Love this itemization. Just continuing. Look at that Solar Crest on Legion. The recognition this game from Irving with his items, I think, is beautiful.
Oh, and this Luna's going like Glass Cannon almost. Mask of Madness, Daedalus. Like, I feel like usually it's this more stat item after the BKB. You see like a Skadi. Sometimes you usually see a Manta style here in the items, but there is no Manta, no Skadi. It's all damage output for Wishing.
Do you like this? Because, I mean, I wonder if they're lacking damage. It feels like LBZS, you just kind of need to survive the ultimates and survive the initial burst.
I don't mind it because they've got all these saves. I'm not sure how it's going to play out until I see some of these fights, but it seems okay to me just because they have this Legion. But the thing is, you can't have both TA and Luna running in because, you know, Legion can only save one of those two. You can't save both. We'll see the arrow immediately gets purged off. And yeah, this is going to be something that RNG can't really have a reliable initiation when there's this press the attack.
They're going to be down the horn if a fight does break out here, and looks like it's a free T2 tower to claim, but still the net worth is continuing to accumulate in RNG's favor. It's Conker's second at the moment. Leave is Halberd freshly picked up. They got double Halberd now for RNG.
That's how you play against heroes like TA, and even this Luna with this build. Both TA and Luna with their Crystallis going very damage dealing orientated. They're going to have double Daedalus soon. That's all kinds of physical damage. I think the other thing is you want to just get like as many armor items as you can. It looks like they've got like Ags queued up with the Halberds. I wouldn't mind seeing an AC somewhere. Spectre's got plenty of stats to kind of have some good base armor for physical damage mitigation.
See what Radiant are looking to play here. Is there timing that we might see come out pretty shortly for LBZS? Because even though RNG lost a couple of those towers, they did a good job at least dodging these fights.
Ooh. I think they want to play around next Roche.
Radiant's top tower
That to me is, if they can get themselves Roche 2, which is probably Agshard for TA Luna both pretty damn good. Yeah. We'll have to see where that one ends up. But that having Aegis and Cheese means one of your carries gets Aegis and the other gets Cheese. Because they really have like two carries in a lot of ways. They're both very kind of squishy glass cannon carries, even with BKBs. So having Aegis Cheese makes a big difference for their draft. The question is whether or not RNG is going to be ready to contest that. They won't have Skadi before then. Just the one Ultimate Orb on God King. So will be perhaps a tricky Roche to fight into. But double Primal Split. That's a huge power spike for RNG.
Yeah, that it is. Brew also has the second level in the ultimate here. And we're going to see them look to smoke up this. I believe it got scouted out by the deep Observer Ward in the lane from LBZS, and we've seen kind of their vision pay off pretty heavily here with the TA traps and how they've been warding across the map, and this is something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as the game goes on, because just that vision advantage can be so important in team fights.
And both teams are just going to be standing around the Roche pit, standing around these cliffs and their wards. It's kind of the name of the game. Dire with a great ward themselves. Their ward by the enemy Ancients sees so much. Right now, I think it's scouted out this smoke potentially, or at least they're going to be unsmoked soon. So very helpful ward for this Roche engagement. It feels like there's at least a slight vision advantage for Dire. Actually, I mean, Radiant have that mid ward, which is also very good, but it's about to expire. So both teams with a lot of vision right now.
DD, and guess what? Roche is up. Okay. Oh no!
Right.
I hate seeing this. Why is this? Time and time again, there's just a DD in front of Roche. What do you know?
I have the observer ward. They scout that something's going on. The arrow not going to be on the mark though, so
they need a
they're going to have to force this fight with Primal Split.
Someone's got to go. Red Panda will before the stun. Horn's going to fly. Who's able to pick up the Aegis? It is going to be X, but God King finds the cheese. Have they been able to deal with the Tombstone? They've not. So Red Panda still second charge of the ultimate if they want to use it. God King falling low, but there's the cheese that's going to come into play. They dealt with X, but Wishing, he hasn't been able to pick up any of the items from Roshan, so you're not going to have a second life for the Luna. And the mass team fight from RNG is winning them this fight around the Roche pit as X getting shredded apart from the Spectre's daggers as Flyby another time for him to take over the fights with a double kill. And RNG, they're being playing a little bit slow, but again, their team fight execution on another level.
Yeah, it's Flyby. This guy's the hero of both these games. They commit all the BKBs to like try and secure the Aegis. Like TA gets Aegis as well as the Ag Shard, but the problem is the team fight that ensues once they all group up and Flyby catches everybody in the arena. If they kill God King when they throw everything, including the finger at him, maybe that ends up looking a little bit more even, but RNG, suddenly the ones on the high ground, and no buyback. They fought out for that fight. They kept the full Daedalus on both their carries, and they lost these fights. They have no defensive tools, and as a result, RNG just going to get a lane of racks.
See how chaotic these fights are going to get with multiple primal splits, with Haunt, with boat flying, arena dropped, and can Radiant then be able to just train their mind to be able to focus on one target, get that mass burst heal, and then turn it from there? And that fight they weren't able to, and you were highlighting that God King was going to be a little bit late on the Skadi before these fights, and while they win that, now he's got the Skadi completed, now the Aghanim's on D-Stone completed as well, so this is going to be scary from LBZS, but they are smoking up. They want to try and take a fight, knowing that the ultimates are on cooldown. They won't catch anyone, as RNG, the awareness allows them to get back to safety.
Had the ward mid, I think they actually saw the smoke right outside the Radiant base, so I think they knew it was coming. Brewmaster just preemptively TP'd in the trees, almost like saying, okay, they're going to pop this smoke in about a second, and I'm going to be just completing my TP. And unfortunately, that means RNG don't get punished. These ulti cooldowns are going to be all coming back up. The Haunt, the big one, and yeah, it just feels like the Haunt going on everyone makes it so hard for Legion to like save the right target. You can only use Pressy Attack on one person. He also will become one of the bigger targets if like Brewmaster can Cyclone up this Legion commander. The fight could just be lost right there.
Flyby might be baiting. All of Radiant are down bottom, but they've got their ultimates back up. They can control the higher ground power position. Radiant in a decent spot because they're going to reveal the Moonlight Shadow. Jumping instantly on the Mirana with a great two-man Earth Spike, so they'll deal with Felix with the Tombstone in the middle of the fight as well. These stones won't be able to secure that. And meanwhile, it's 2 down from RNG. They're going to have to look to retreat away with the BKB, but the Jewel's out just in the nick of time from Irving. Even though D-Stones has got the torrents flying left, right, and center, it is not enough, as LBZS will be able to hit back and find 3 targets.
Yeah. They were ready for that fight. They had the sentry that they walked into, so they were able to get the instant pick on Mirana. She doesn't get to use a single spell. No arrows, no Starstorm leaps, no Yules, no Greaves. She's just out of the fight. And then, you know, Spectre does all he can to kill the support line on the backlines. I like what God King's doing. He always has a dust so that he can solo kill this Lion, negating the impact of this Glimmer Cape. Problem is the way the rest of the fight's going with the TA Luna actually get full use out of their BKBs. This time they're popping BKB and just doing damage onto key targets, whereas Mars unable to find that big arena combo. He was kind of awkward. Like, the Mirana died and he was still stuck in those trees at the bottom side of the map, so they just weren't really on the same page when they jumped in.
Do you feel like that fight just kind of comes down to LBZS having a vision advantage and getting the initiation?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. I don't think RNG were expecting that sentry there in such like an odd part of the map. And RNG, yeah, they were just kind of running in blind with a Moonlight Shadow, so definitely it backfires, and I think the lesson there is, you know, RNG can't just rely on this haunt for giving them vision to start a fight, because the fight was already lost to the vision game when they used that haunt.
I do want to see how they try and use the ultimate for God King in regards to cancelling blinks, because I think that's been a big factor where we haven't seen them identify the Brewmaster issue. You know, he's going A on disc next, and once you get that A on disc, well, the Lion jump to cancel out the ulti is just not going to be as much of a factor. So, you know, maybe that Haunt can cancel the blink on Cat Yu. Even Irving now has a blink as well. So my eyes are on LBZS. If they can target down the Red Panda Brew, because those ultimates we saw game 1, so much chaos, and game 2 as well so far.
Yep. He's potentially the difference maker, but at the same time, even if he gets, even when he gets the Primal Split off, TA and Luna, both great heroes for killing the Primal Split warriors. They've got bouncing glaives, they've got side blades, so you've got to really respect that spread damage coming out if you're this Brewmaster in ulti form. I think he's going to be having to, like, you know, send in the Cyclone Panda to get the backlines. He's going to have to micro his heart out to have an impact in these fights. He can't just have them grouped up, like, you know, the pub bad Brewmaster player is just, like, going to have them all grouped up and just charge at a target, throw stun, win more kit, but not spread them out onto different targets. That's what Red Panda needs to do and has shown he can do.
Radiant's bottom tower.
I wonder if he even thinks about going for the Ag Shard next with that Void Spirit, because it does actually provide a disarm for 2 seconds, and we see they have 3 halberds now. So much emphasis on shutting down the Luna, shutting down the TA with the recent halberd picked up on God King Spectre.
Yeah, that's a bit of an unconventional item, but just really valuing that survivability, knowing that neither TA nor Luna was initially itemizing towards MKB, but the MKB on TA will be coming out to help deal with that evasion a bit, but it just forces the TA to become even more of a glass cannon, which, you know, in some ways is a good thing. But obviously as TA, you have to get this MKB against the halberds that are just all over, triple halberds, and even outside of the MKB to pierce the evasion, this disarm can be so annoying. If you get it on before the BKB, it is so pesky.
RNG?
This ward again.
Great ward.
Yeah.
They're going to send
But they
Wishing
don't wanna
this
go
time. They
Arena.
should
This is
know
bait.
they're behind him, so they're going to spear, drag away with Arena. Drop what an Arena! It's away from Wishing. He's able to get the BKB off, but they're able to deal with him. Just turn, Bo3, so much AoE control that LBZS cannot deal with. They won't protect the Luna, and it's going to cost them 3 heroes, maybe even Irving as well. There's a press the attack to the blink away, but now X is being targeted. They buy back on Wishing. Oh, that's a heavy commitment. LBZS, you don't have 2 other buybacks here on your Luna and Undying, so that is a big win condition now for RNG. So push on forward, X. The BKB's now expired, and the spear gets a connection. As TA will lose her life down for 90 seconds, and now it's just going to be on Irving to Wishing to hold this second set of racks down bot.
Flyby, what a insane Mars play. He spears out the Luna, but they were never really focusing Luna. His spear onto the Luna was just to force the supports to run in. Legion Commander and Lion are like, oh crap, Luna's being speared away from our base. We gotta go in to help, but they were the real target. He speared Luna away and then arena'd like 3 heroes that were running in to help Luna. He wasn't even trying to target Luna with the arena, and RNG just cleaned up because of him. What a great heads-up play from him when it came to how he used his spells.
This has been a highlight series from Flyby. I mean, his Doom in game 1 was incredible. We're seeing his Mars performance now in this game 2 as well. You just highlighted that. What a team fight for him. The spear drag away. That ward gave them so much information. They saw the TA connect mid, and then just a couple seconds after, Luna showed on the wave. So they were so aware that they were baiting the Luna. And that vision and setup cost them massively. And now it's their last set of racks, and you might be going up against Megas here with TA still down for 15 seconds.
Yeah, you don't want that, but I'm not sure if they've got any good answers. Kunkka now with the tidal wave as well. And Primal Split just being used to help make things a little bit faster, and also the Cyclones.
Jumped in. How do you start? Tombstone shot, but they're not protecting the Tombstone at the moment, Felix. Okay, Mirana falling really low, but a great defensive yours keeps the life, and RNG, just objective-based gaming. Mega Creeps now on the cards, and LBZS, they've got the works to be able to come back in this game one. Can they do it? They'll lose the Undying, Wishing and X both trying to stand their ground, but there's no more follow-up. RNG have reset off the arena. They do lose Red Panda. A quick use of the burst from the Lion along with the Templar Assassin now with the duel out as well. God King, he's going to be healthy thanks to the creeps. Catyu's going to jump on the backline here. God King might end up falling, and he will. Okay, LBZS, they find 3. A triple for your Templar Assassin, but again, they're up against the wall now with the Mega Creeps coming in.
Yeah, it's maybe too little too late. They finally found a way to start the fight, catching the Brew before he could, coming out of his ultimate, and unfortunately, well, I guess maybe fortunately, they do have Roshan spawning in 15 seconds, so I think LBZS have to go for that Roshan. They cannot let RNG get themselves another Roshan. Spectre doesn't have buyback yet. They can press forward a little bit. I mean, that's the thing. They win one fight and get catchers without buyback. TA Luna, they shred buildings. Doesn't matter if you're down Mega Creeps. If all you need is to win that one fight and have heroes without buyback, and you can win the game.
Yeah, and I wonder, TA soon with the Aghanim Scepter is going to be very mobile, so it can go back, defend the base, and then rejoin the team as well, because Undying's not going to deal with the waves, the Lion, even Legion's not going to be. Legion has no dual damage. I just recognize this. Hasn't got a win.
Kunkka's got dual damage.
Yeah, Kunkka's got it.
Plus
That's
10. He's rocking some.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about infinite scaling, but with Legion, it's always like, well, infinite scaling for who? And right now, it's for RNG's side, but. So Aghanim Scepter did go the way of the TA. You kind of mentioned it was coming up, and that's a big one when it comes to that global mobility.
So what else did we get? Aegis is on the Luna, and also TA is going to put the cheese in the fountain. So after that getting picked up, 6,000 net worth lead, but a big objective advantage that the side of Die have.
RNG is going to make sure they have all their... They don't mind taking a fight into this Aegis probably, but they want to have that assurance policy of, okay, we've got our next layer of items, we've also got buybacks on our key heroes, so that even if we lose a fight, we aren't just throwing this game. And they're also pretty close to a couple of level 25s. Kunkka is only a little bit of XP away. Mars about to hit 24, so some pretty big power spikes. Yeah, even Spectre is quarter of the way to 25, so... Realistically, if you're RNG, you're saying, well, we're up Megas, we could go fight, but level 25s are pretty insane when it comes to Dota 2 power spikes.
And they also have to keep in mind that Luna still has the buyback cooldown for another 3 minutes. So you've got to go through Aegis. Yes, that's definitely going to be a tricky thing, but if you get the kill on Luna, she's down and out of the count, and that's probably going to be all she wrote then.
Yeah. Oh, Rapier.
All right, let's go.
You're in a Mega Creeps game. You kind of got to do these crazy things. I mean, this is a 40-minute Luna who still has a Mask of Madness. This is usually one of those items that you're almost have to replace by at least this stage of the game, but just hasn't found the farm, and this game has just headed a direction where I don't think Wishing has felt like he's had an opportunity to fit something else in, so they're all in.
RNG? Bit disconnected at the moment with D-Stones to the eastern side, so we'll see if this Observe Ward from Catyu might be able to scout out anyone angling to connect. If they just get the vision on D-Stone to the higher gun, no, they'll run down instead. Smoke's gonna pop, Catyu, BKB instantly pop from D-Stones, he's gonna TP out, but they actually want to take the fight. A bit of a bait from D-Stones as the Horde's gonna fly, and Catyu, it's just the sacrificial lamb. The rest of LBZS have to get back to safety, but they're gonna turn. They've still got the Tombstone on the higher ground. No, the BKB's committed and wasted here from Kunkka, but Wishing, he's gonna pop his own BKB as well.
The arrow hits.
The arrow to fly, but the press attack gives him the protection. They bring him down though. The first life completely wasted, and then we've got to keep in mind he's got a Rapier, the Templar Assassin as well, just getting controlled in RNG. They've got too much gas in the tank. The buybacks are going to come through, but is the Rapier enough? The Helmet completely kiting. A Jules on the backline. Maybe they'll kill off Felix. They can't even get the first dual victory of the game. And now the Rapier is going to end up falling as well. No buyback on Wishing. X controlled. He'll get the protection inside the base. But LBZS without the Rapier, the third, it's almost down as well. And they've got to call it RNG. A convincing first series victory for them.
A pretty exciting end, and some definitely glimmers of hope from LBZS, but all in all, I would say it was a convincing win. Even a 40-minute plus game with a Rapier, a potential comeback, it still had the the feel where RNG, they slipped up. It wasn't that perfect Dota, but when they had those slip-ups, they're like, okay, let's slow it down, guys. We've outdrafted them. We have this late game Spectre. Let's just, get that win. Even though they went for that 30-minute win, they'll take the 45-minute win.
Yeah, definitely. And that's coming into it. I was questioning how easy of a series this was going to be for RNG, because LBZS, they did finish second in that low division. It's definitely a team that can take maps out of nowhere and potentially a series as well if they get that draft. But RNG, we're seeing if they've got a lineup that can have a lot of priority on team fight, then their execution is on another level, as we saw in this series. A 2-0 for them, taking down LBZS, and we're going to see them in the lower bracket. That being said, we'll send it to a quick break, and then we'll break down the series.
What an entertaining game from the two teams. But we do see RNG take the game 2 off of LBZS, making it a 2-0 this series in favor of RNG. They'll be... I can't even speak right now. I don't know what's going on. They'll be proceeding in the upper bracket while LBZS is going to go down to the lower bracket. But I have to say, game number 2 was a stronger performance from LBZS. There was a window of time in which they came back. Looked like they potentially could have taken this game off of RNG, but ultimately RNG turned it back on its head and secured game number 2. But GoDz, I want to know, how did this window for LBZS arise, and how were they able to capitalize on it?
They did a really good job, I think, punishing RNG when they got a bit too overconfident. That first fight mid lane, it was like 8 kills to 0. LBZS hadn't even got a single kill. And they dropped their tombstone in the river, it dies, and then RNG's like, let's chase. But their Spectre's not that farm, just has like a Blade Mail Yasha, and I think LBZS just did a really good job of recognizing their openings. They killed Spectre multiple times, and then they were able just to kind of find and kill off key targets using the Lion disables really well. So any of these fights where Lion was staying alive looked really good. The problem was Lion staying alive is pretty damn hard against a Spectre.
Definitely, but they were able to keep that Lion alive, ensure that they had a bit of a comeback mechanic there. But Aries, ultimately, what was the downfall for LBZS and the way for RNG to close out that game and the series?
I think it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it definitely feels like RNG. They're just another tier over LBZS, and we kind of saw in a lot of these late game team fights, just the execution and how they're able to kind of set up, prioritize which areas they want to bring down. And when you've got a lineup that China's always been a region who have a lot of priority on team fight. They've been one of the best regions to always thrive in that area. And we just see back-to-back games now. They get those heroes to secure them, And I really wonder now, heading into the later stages of the tournament for RNG, if potentially, you know, this Brewmaster has to be a consideration to be banned out, because if they're showing already the priority here and how much impact that Red Panda can have on that, then, you know, other teams are definitely going to have to consider it in their drafting phase.
We'll have to wait and see how much of a priority the Brew does get for a band. That might also be something that plays in their favor. You know, maybe they got a whole load of heroes out there willing to be picked, and Brew's just a very tip of the iceberg sort of hero for them. But if you are on the side of LBZS, GoDz, what are you looking to improve, and some big takeaways that you think they should be looking at here?
I'd say this game, drafting-wise, felt a bit greedy. It felt like the 3 cores they had, usually when you're picking this offlane Legion commander, there's one obvious carry that you're trying to buff up with the press the attack. They had 2, TA and Luna, who were kind of competing over farm, who kind of filled the same role. And it didn't really feel like there was enough farm to go around. And also, even though they had like 2 carries that were like kind of these, late game-ish heroes, neither of them were ever going to be able to outcarry a Spectre. So they had to play like a fast tempo game while being on the greedy side. So it felt like there were some drafting problems. Play-wise, their team fight looked a lot better than what we saw kind of in the previous series when it was the Elephant were heavy favorites against the underdog, against Magma. Magma looked a bit lost in the team fights, but good in lanes. This was like the opposite story, where the lanes were kind of even, but team fight-wise, LBZS, their team fights look good. So I think drafting, better team fight, less greedy, and then things can work out better for them.
Yeah, it almost paid off for them. They were pretty close to it. But maybe when we see them play next time, it might work out in their favor. Are there any sort of final thoughts that either of you would like to share on not just this game, but also the series that you saw from LBZS and RNG?
I think like God said as well, like LBZS, how they're able to kind of execute at that level. And if they can get the draft that they're hoping for, because it felt like they didn't, back-to-back games, they didn't have a playmaker mid. And maybe this is something they're not as comfortable on, but we saw X on a Lena, we saw X on a TA. They're going this double kind of core draft, and that's too greedy. Games like this against RNG, against Elephant, against eHome, you're going to get punished. And this is TI qualifiers. You can't give the enemy team an opportunity like that. We see kind of the meta around the mid lane is a lot more orientated around making plays. And if you go down that route, then you need a little bit more of a faster position one, or at least other heroes in your support role or offlane to make those plays. And they just went all on the backs of hoping that they can sustain the initial burst and then turn the fight from there with like the Legion Undying. So maybe just going for a draft that they can play a little bit more fast paced and actually make plays across the map.
Did you say that's pretty similar for you, GoDz, thoughts-wise?
Yeah, and I would just give final thoughts on RNG. Their performance was good, but I would be worried about having these slow-paced Spectre drafts with a support Brewmaster. They're playing Elephant next, and their offlane with FY and Yang was scary. I don't think you beat Elephant if you're playing a Brewmaster Spectre lane. I think they want you to pick those heroes against like the FY Hoodwink plus whatever it is, Hoodwink Mars lane, or whatever lane they go for. With that said, I'm very much looking forward to that series. It's a bit of like a grudge match where Red Panda, the former Elephant player, now looking to bring RNG to TI. So it is a very exciting series to look forward to.
Well, there you have it. RNG maybe picking up the pace in their game, and LBZS hoping to look for maybe less of a greedy draft, but that'll all play out when we do see them play again tomorrow. But before we head to a break, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Mate Mate. Mate Mate is a natural energy drink and is caffeine reimagined. You can try Mate Mate today and get more day, more night. You can head over to bts.gg/Mate Mate. But on top of that, we are also giving away some cases of Mate Mate. The giveaway is going to run 10 minutes after our series, so it's going on right now. Viewers, you guys can enter by typing in !Mate Mate in chat. So I want to see as many Mate Mates in chat as I possibly can. It'll be 8 cans in a case. So make sure you guys do that and really support our sponsors out there so we can make this one happen. But that is going to be it from the three of us on the panel today. And after the break, you'll be joined by 3 new faces.